Look at your plate right now. Whatever's on it, your ancestors wouldn't even recognize it as food. Not because they were primitive, but because the world they lived in was so brutally different from yours that the two almost don't belong in the same story. So what did they actually eat? Buckle up, because this goes places most people aren't ready for. We start not with hunters but with thieves. 3 million years ago, your earliest ancestors weren't chasing anything. They were watching, waiting, lurking at the edge of someone else's kill. Predator brings down prey, eats leaves. Your ancestor shuffles in when everyone else is gone. Not brave, not powerful, just patient, and hungry enough to eat what nobody else wanted. What nobody else wanted was bones. Specifically the thick, heavy leg bones of large animals. Bones that lions couldn't be bothered with, that hyenas couldn't crack. But your ancestors had something no other creature had. A hand that could grip, and a rock that could smash. They cracked those bones open and pulled out what was inside. Bone marrow, raw, fatty, slick. And for early humans, it was the single greatest meal on Earth. Fat is the most calorie-dense thing that exists in nature. And for a creature that barely survived day to day, stumbling onto a cache of fat wasn't just lucky. It was the difference between living and not. This is why, right now, your brain lights up at the sight of something greasy. That's not modern weakness. That's a 3 million-year-old reward system still running in your skull. But fat wasn't the only thing on the ancient menu. Insects were everywhere. And your ancestors ate all of them. Termites, beetles, grubs, larvae thick as your thumb. Disgusting by today's standards. But packed with protein, fat, and nutrients. Easy to find. Impossible to outrun. For over 1 million years, insects weren't a curiosity. They were a staple. As normal as rice is to us today. Then came the moment that changed everything. Fire. Nobody planned it. Nobody invented it on purpose. One day something burned. And someone got close enough to smell cooked meat. And everything in human history pivoted on that moment. Because cooked food does something raw food never could. It unlocks calories. Raw meat, raw roots, raw plants, your gut has to work for hours to break them down. Cook them first and your body gets more fuel, faster, with less effort. Over generations, cooking reshaped the human body from the inside out. Guts shrank because they didn't have to work as hard. And all that freed energy got rerouted into the brain, the organ that runs on more power than almost anything else in your body. Cooking didn't just feed us. It built us. By the time humans were spreading across every continent, the menu had exploded. They ate mammoth and bison on frozen plains. Shellfish pried from rocks at low tide. Birds, lizards, frogs, anything with calories. Wild roots dug from frozen ground. With bare hands. Berries, nuts, leaves, bark. If it could be eaten, someone tried it. And if it couldn't, they cooked it until it could. But the most valuable food of all wasn't meat. It was honey. There are tribes alive today that eat almost exactly the way humans did before farming. And researchers who study them found something remarkable. A huge chunk of their calories still comes from honey. They climb trees barefoot. Get stung dozens of times. Risk breaking bones on the way down. Just for a honeycomb. Because in a world without sugar, honey was the most powerful thing you could put in your body. Instant energy. Fat storage. Survival in one bite. Your brain hasn't forgotten this. Every time you eat something sweet, your brain doesn't just enjoy it. It lights up like it found something rare. Something precious. Something worth storing. The problem is the world changed and your brain didn't. What used to be a rare gift from a dangerous tree is now in every drink, every sauce, every packaged food on every shelf. Your ancient brain is getting tricked 1,000 times a day. And it says yes, every single time. Now here's where this story gets genuinely uncomfortable. Your ancestors didn't always wait for animals to die. And they didn't always leave the butchering to nature. Researchers working in prehistoric cave sites across Europe have found human bones, processed, deliberately, carefully, skulls shaped, long bones split open, the same marks left by the same tools they used on animals. Not during famines. Not in desperation. The caves had plenty of other animal remains. There was other food. This was a choice. Perhaps a ritual. Perhaps something we'll never fully understand. But it happened. Across multiple sites. Across thousands of years. Human history contains chapters that are genuinely difficult to sit with. And pretending they don't exist doesn't make them go away. And then there's rot. A successful hunt produced more meat than any group could eat at once. So they stored it, buried in soil, wedged into cold rock crevices, submerged in streams, revisited days later, sometimes weeks. By modern standards, completely inedible. By their standards, dinner. Decomposing meat is already partly broken down by bacteria. Easier on the gut. Sometimes richer in certain nutrients. They didn't eat it despite the rot. Some evidence suggests they may have sought it out. And here's the part that should genuinely stop. You eat this too. Right now. Today. Cheese is rotted milk. Wine is rotted fruit. Yogurt, sourdough, pickles, miso, soy sauce. All of it is controlled decay. Fermentation is just rot with rules. And you love every single one of them. That sophisticated palate you're so proud of? It was trained on a savanna long before anyone had a kitchen. Every craving your body produces, for fat, for sweetness, for salt, for richness, is a message from people who lived in a world where those things were rare and precious. They ate what they could, when they could, as much as they could. Because tomorrow was never guaranteed. That's the program your body is still running. Not because it's broken, because it worked. For millions of years, it kept your ancestors alive. The late-night snack you can't resist. The greasy food that feels like a reward. The sweetness you reach for when you're stressed. None of that is weakness. It's ancient survival logic meeting a world that has completely outpaced it. And the most humbling thought of all? Somewhere in a long, brutal, hungry chain of human beings, each one cold, uncertain, and fighting to make it to the next day, you exist at the very end, full, warm, sheltered, complaining that the delivery took 40 minutes.